Hi there, Stampers. It's Linda Schmitt with Stampin' with the Hounds. I have a fun technique today to show you. This one I am calling Shine and Dimension. And what it is we are going to be using our brayer and the beautiful layered florals embossing folder that is in the 2024 mini catalog from Stampin' Up. So you really, for this technique, you will need something that is a 3D, which means it's going to be a lot thicker folder because it's going to give all that dimension. And on this one, we also need to have a metallic ink pad of some sort. Now, unfortunately, Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry them currently, but I've got ones that we had like years ago. I've been with Stampin' Up! For, oh my gosh, 20 some years. So this was, you know, it's like a 20-year-old ink pad, but it still works. So we're going to be, I'm using silver, but really you can use any metallic ink that you want. You want a colored cardstock. I am doing Berry Bliss. And then I'm also doing the same color ink pad as well, because when we get done, we actually brayer over just to give a little bit more of that shine and dimension to the card. So this is the one that my class made last week. So it has the Cake Fancy, which is this, I think, has been overlooked in the catalog. I really like this set. The only thing that I wish it had was matching dies, because man, fussy cutting this stuff is, whew, it's hard on the arthritis. That's all I can say. But it is a really pretty fun set. So we're going to be doing the Cake Fancy today. And then the other thing I added was just some of the, so I had some retired ribbon left over. But I was kind of playing around because I had extra pieces because I had someone who was sick and wasn't able to make it to class. So I changed it up and I did lemon lolly to make it a lemon cake. And then I kind of added a little bit of that raspberry to kind of give it like a berry thing. And then this is actually embossing paste for my frosting. So that was kind of fun. It did take a while to dry. So this isn't something I would normally do on a video just because it does take some time to dry. And then I fussy cut all these flowers and the leaves, and then I added a little bit of gem. And then on this one I did emboss the cake stand. So that I thought turned out kind of fun on it. And then I did the inside. I just went to town on my decorating my little flowers that come in that Cake Fancy. So we're going to be doing a version, kind of taking this one, but we're going to make it a lemon cake like I did on this one. And then this was my very first one that I did when I was just kind of playing around with this technique. So on this one, I did get a little too heavy-handed. And so the background got more of that silver than what I wanted, but I was just practicing. And so this was using Starry Sky and then Lemon Lolly on that one. So that was just my practice one. But we're going to get started. So like I said, you are going to need your embossing folder. You are going to need some colored cardstock. And then, of course, your embossing machine. Now, what we're going to do is in your embossing folder, if you noticed on the card, this is actually the debossed side, where all that ink is sitting inside of it. So normally, like when you emboss something, you get the raised, I was just seeing if I had a sample here nearby, but I don't have one. You know, you get the raised image, and that's what we use on the card front. But we are going to be working on the back side of the folder because we want to fill in that ink in those flowers. So we're using the opposite side of it. So when you feel your folder, because we want this ink to sink into the cardstock, we are going to ink up the raised edge of the embossing folder. So we're going to ink that up first, and then we'll place our cardstock in. So if you notice, this is the back side of the folder. We're going to ink this up, place our cardstock in, and then we'll close it and we'll run it through the machine. So we're first going to ink this up. And just so that this kind of holds my, let's see, I think I'll just use this one, just so my embossing mat isn't, or my folder isn't wiggling around. I'm just going to use my craft sheet here, the silicone mat. Okay, so we're going to take our, let's see here, I do need to move around, sorry. This is going to have room for my ink pad, because I do like to have this so that it's not shifting around on me. Okay, so I'm going to take a brayer. Now, these are the ones that Stampin' Up! Sold years and years ago, and I still held on to mine. The new ones that they have now are, it's a little bit wider than this one, and it has like a red rubber on it. And then the handle is more of like a wire tying. So, but again, I've got what I have on hand, so that's what I'm going to be using. So this one is well loved, as you can see, very stained. It used to be this color, and now it's black. So I'm going to ink up my silver. And when you're inking up the brayer for the first time, you want to, I'm actually going to move it this way. I like to go the width of the ink pad. So you're going to ink this up and you're going to pick a direction and stick with it. So I'm going away, away, away. And I'm just kind of moving it around that ink pad to make sure that it's entirely inked up. Okay, so once that's inked up, we're now going to do the same thing. We're going to go back and forth, and you want to be careful that you're not hitting the other opposite side of the folder, and then don't press super hard, because if you do, you're going to go into that negative space, which is the recessed parts. We're just inking up the raised edge, so you can kind of see where that silver is popping now. So all of that's going to get inked up. And once you're happy, if it looks like it's all inked, all right, so then I'm going to flip this over so that it's not resting ink side down. I'm going to close that up. Then we're going to take our cardstock, place it on the opposite side, then close the ink pad down on top of it. Okay, so now we're going to run this through the machine. I'm just going to grab this so you have it. You can see what I'm doing here. All right, so on my machine, I just have my platform. I'm going to put it in spine first, and then I've got an adapter plate. So run it through. And then this is where I check it just to make sure. So as you can see, I could do a little bit more ink. So I'm going to make sure that that doesn't move on me. I'm going to re-ink. So you will find that you will, on this technique especially, you do need to do another layer of this metallic ink. Okay, so holding that paper so it doesn't shift on me. We're going to ink up the opposite side, the raised edge, adding a little bit more ink. Close that, and then we'll run it through the machine again. Let's go back, really press that ink in there. Now let's see how it looks. Okay, that's much better. So now it's got that ink in there. Okay, so now we can get this out of the way. And the next thing you want to do is this, then you would just rinse it off with just water. You can use like a damp cloth on there. So we'll just set it aside for now. And then same thing with the brayer. I'll just rinse this off in the sink because it came off pretty well the other day when we did that at class. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is we're going to add a little bit more shine. And I'm looking for... I just need some scratch paper so that I'm not going all over the place here. There we go. Okay, so we're still working on that debossed side. So remember, this is the normal one where it's raised. We're on the opposite side. Now we're going to take, and this is where I always tell people, it's nice to have multiple brayers so then you don't have to worry about cleaning up. So I'm going to do Berry Burst. And now on my other brayer, I'm going to ink up with the Berry Burst. And actually, I probably should have done my other brayer with the silver. Oh, well. This one will now be pink. Okay, so we're going to take the Berry Burst. Same thing. We're going to ink this up. Yeah, it's the only bad thing with pinks and reds. They do kind of stain your stamps, but then it just shows that it's well loved. Okay, so this is going to be all inked up. Now this part is totally optional, but I do think it adds a little bit more color. So now I'm going to kind of go at an angle, back and forth. Now this is the only time where I say you can go back and forth. And we're going to ink it up again, but I'm always inking away, away, away. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to kind of go from the other end now and kind of go back and forth, pressing just to get that ink sitting on top of that negative space. Okay. So now that is the technique, and then it adds a little bit more of that dimension. So this is where I said it kind of gives that shine and dimension to your projects. So super fun. Love it. All right, we're going to give that a quick shot with the heat tool just because it is a little wet. So I'm just going to real quick clean this off. I just use some hand sanitizer. I always find that sometimes that kind of helps clean like ink off your fingers. And it also gets the ink off of your silicone mat. So, and everybody has hand sanitizer handy. So, okay, so that looks like that's all good. Okay, and then we'll close this up so I don't make a mess. Okay. All right, so then let's just give that a quick shot just to dry it. Okay. All right, so that looks good. Isn't that pretty? Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so let's add this onto our card. I'm going to first do my ribbon. And this I just had a little bit of it tucked behind. Look at me using ribbon on a card. I've got so much ribbon. I'm like, okay, I really need to start using this ribbon up. I can't just hoard it. Time to use it. Okay, so then I'm just going to turn this over, and we'll just add a little bit of adhesive on the back side and then tuck our ribbon. Make sure I'm staying straight here. This is where I like using my grid. And we'll do the other one. Wow, easier said than done today. What is my problem? There we go. Okay, and then that can be adhered onto the back of our, or onto our card base, I should say. And then I'm adhering this. At class, I had them put it on a kind of a brushed silver. It was some cardstock that was Stampin' Up! Used to sell, and I found it in my stash. I'm like, oh, we're going to have them use that up. But on this card, I am using the Blackberry Bliss is the base, and then again, that Berry Burst is what we did the embossing and the brayering on. Okay, and then I'm just going to press this down. Held in place. All right, so now we are going to real quick do our stamping, and I just need to find I lost my circle. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm glad I had some of these punched extra ones. So these are from the Everyday Essential dies. These are, I love these. These are in the 2024 mini catalog right now. So I do like using these. So I'm going to now, since I'm using photopolymer, I'm going to grab my little foam mat here. And we will start with the cake stand. I'm not going to emboss it, so I'm just going to do smoky slate, which will look like a silver. And because I'm building this cake, I want to have my cake stand be closer to the bottom of this circle. I'm telling you, whenever I'm working with oh, that anything red or purple, get it all over. Okay, and then now, like I said, instead of doing the pecan pie, I'm going to do this lemon lolly because I'm going to make this a lemon cake. So on the Cake Fancy stamp set, if you notice, it's kind of this gradient shading. So you want to have that darker part, that's going to be at the bottom of your cake or on the stamp. So when you look at it, it's going to be, oh, it's kind of hard to see, but I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me put it against the dark. It's this bottom one that you want to be at the bottom of your cake stand, I should say. So we're going to ink this up in the lemon lolly. So you can kind of see how this is a little bit shaded. So that's the bottom of the cake. All right, and then I'm going to try and do this without getting my head in the camera. I like to go just a titch below so that it's kind of, so that my cake isn't floating off of the cake stand. Perfect, so there's the lemon lolly. Then I'm going to change it up, and for the berries, I'm actually going to do Blackberry Bliss. So they kind of look like blackberries now instead of my raspberries on my first one. I just love the detail in this stamp set. Oh, it's so pretty. Love it, love it, love it. And then for my little meringue, or I'm not really sure what this little doohickey is, but I'm going to call it, it's going to be a berry burst. So it's that little thingamabobber. And then I'm just going to sit that right on the top. leave that out. So then that is the cake. And I'm going to add just a few little gems on here. These are just some of the iridescent kind of rhinestones. A cake can have bling on it, right? All right, we'll just do a couple of those. And then I am going to pop this up with some dimensionals just because we're on that textured cardstock and we've got the ribbon in there. So I am going to make sure my circle, then we've got plenty of dimensionals just to kind of support it. So someone special gets this card. Look at all these dimensionals. Okay. And then that will get placed right on top. I kind of do it a little bit off-centered. And then my inside, we'll do a real quick seam. This is from another new set I just got. It's in the annual catalog, but I just love the font on this one. So it's Layering Leaves, and there is a punch that goes with it too. And I don't know why I didn't get it. So, but I did wind up ordering it because I'm like, oh my God, fussy cutting that thing was a nightmare. So I would do So Happy to Celebrate You in the Berry Burst. We'll just put that in the center. And then I'm going to add just a couple of flowers, or just a flower, I should say, from the Cake Fancy. So I'm going to do Lemon Lolly, Lemon Lime Twist, and then Bubble Bath will be my colors that I'm using. So we're just going to do a little bit of the pink. And then the Lemon Lime Twist. So a nice, fun kind of spring card. And then for the center of the flower, it's this little tiny one. We're going to do the Lemon Lolly. All right, so that is all inked up. Close these up so I don't put my project in it. And then we'll just tape this to the inside of the card. I always like to do another layer of neutral cardstock, especially when I've been using a dark card as my card base. All right, so that is it. So that is that shine and dimension technique. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'm going to have some other brayer and embossing folder videos that I'll be sharing. So as always, like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Give me a comment. If you've got other ideas that you would like to see when it comes to embossing folders or brayers, drop me a comment. Otherwise, have a great and creative day, and I will stamp again with you soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.